So Nerd Show's been all around the country. We went recently to Florida and learned about what's going on down there. Today we're not going to Maine, but we're talking about Maine with Jason Frost. Hey, Jason, tell us what you've been doing in Maine.
So Maine has set some very ambitious climate targets, including statutory emissions reductions targets of 45% below 1990 levels in 2030 and 80% below 1990 levels by 2050. And going even beyond those targets, the governor recently announced a goal of being net zero across the state's entire economy by 2045. So this chart shows the CO2 emissions in the state of Maine, both historically and as we've modeled going through 2050 to meet their ambitious emissions reduction targets. And so you can see the emissions in each sector, all the way from the transportation sector down to the other category at the bottom. And between now and 2050, the state is going to need to achieve aggressive reductions across all of these sectors to meet its goal economy-wide. We worked with the state to develop kind of a broad, high-level plan of how they can hit these ambitious targets and mitigate climate change to protect Maine's nature and way of life. So to do that, we had to look at a bunch of different sectors because Maine's greenhouse gas emissions are spread all around the economy. They have some emissions coming from the transportation sector. That's actually the biggest, primarily due to cars and trucks driving on the roads. And then there's also a significant amount of emissions coming from residential and commercial buildings that use fuel oil, natural gas, and propane to keep buildings warm in the colder Maine winters. Beyond those two sectors, there are some smaller categories, including the electric power sector, which is relatively small in Maine due to large amounts of wind and other clean energy resources, the industrial sector, and some manufacturing, and then some other sectors, including non-CO2 emissions that also contribute to global warming, as well as land use emissions.
I'm just curious, is that wind mostly onshore or offshore?
That wind is all onshore for now. There will be lots of offshore wind coming to New England soon, but Maine's not quite there yet. The waters off the coast of Maine are a little deeper than they are off the coast of southern New England states like Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So Maine is actively exploring how it can take advantage of that offshore wind resource, but the technology is not quite there yet. So that will probably be part of the second wave of offshore wind to come to New England. And we're expecting the first wave down in the southern part of the region to kind of launch in the early to mid 2020s.
You talked about electricity and industry and transportation. It seems like Maine can hit net zero by 2040. Is that right?
We can. It's certainly going to take a lot of work. So we modeled all sorts of different policies to hit both the 2050 target and the 2030 target, which can be even harder just because it takes time to turn over a lot of the emitting, polluting technologies that we use all throughout our daily lives today. So we modeled aggressive reductions in transportation pollution by reducing the total number of miles traveled by vehicles by 20% by 2030. We also modeled a rapid increase in the adoption of electric vehicles so that by 2030, about 85% of new cars and trucks are electric. We even modeled heavy-duty trucks going electric and assumed about 55% of new heavy-duty trucks would be EVs over that same time frame by 2030. And in addition, Maine has a lot of work to do to decarbonize buildings because Maine is one of the highest users of fuel oil, which is a higher carbon fuel than even natural gas. So they've stepped up and set an ambitious target to install electric heat pumps, which heat Maine homes efficiently all winter long and displace the need to use carbon-emitting fossil fuels. And the state has laid out an aggressive target of installing 100,000 heat pumps. For context, Maine has about 550,000 homes in total. So that's a significant portion, and they want to do that all by 2025.
Wow, that's incredible.
And aren't they already buying and installing a lot of heat pumps in Maine?
They are. The Efficiency Maine Trust, which runs the state's energy efficiency programs, has already installed lots of heat pumps both for space heating and water heating. I believe they're installing just under 20,000 a year at this point. So they're actually on track to meet that 2025 target of 100,000 heat pumps.
That's really great news. Thank you so much for sharing all this. It's incredible.
So Maine has a lot of work to do. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Bruce and Jeannie.
If anyone out there in energy nerd land knows about a plan to go to net zero that you think might be better than Maine's or have elements that Maine should adopt, can you please let us know?
To share your great ideas, you can email nerds@energynerdshow.com or visit the website.
Hey, thanks, Jason.